When you are exposed to things, it gives you options. Options give you choices, and choices require decisions. It is critically important that you make this next step into sound decisions.
Every decision that you make has consequences, even the smallest decisions.
Consequences are more important than decisions. Don't ever make a decision more important than a consequence, because decisions give birth to consequences. People normally say if you make a decision, you got to live with it. That is not true. You live with the consequences.
Are you making yourself better, or are you making yourself worse? Are you moving forward, or are you moving back? Are you making progress, or are you stagnating? Every little decision you make counts.
Some people are afraid to make decisions. They just contemplate the options for years and miss the opportunity to change their life because they miss the time factor that is involved in making a great decision.
So what you must do before you make any decision in life is don't study the decision. Make sure you exhaust every possible means to study the consequences. Do your research, get information, check all the alternatives, study the options, check those who already made that decision, and read their life, study their life, find out everything before you make a decision.
Deciding to decide, to act, is a major, major challenge for all of us. And there are things that happen to us along the way, experiences that we have that prevent us from working through the mental block of acting. And so what I want you to think about is, what is there that you know you need to do, but for some reason or another, you've been holding back? For some reason or another, you just have not been able to gather your nerves or be able to work through the procrastinating or putting it off or justifying or blaming. Some reason or another, you just haven't done it.
Do you know where to hide when discouragement comes flying past your head? Or do you run to the same enemy that is attacking you in an effort to hide? I'm not talking about physical places, because the hiding places that we create that destroy us are usually the ones in our heart. Emotional states. When attacks come, I've learned where to run. And the reason that I'm moving forward in my life this year isn't because I won't be attacked, it's because I know what to run to when I am.
I don't want to spend the second half of my life repeating the dumb stuff that I did in the first half of my life. Give me the grace, if you will. Give me the mercy, if you please, to make a good decision so that I can eat the fat of the land. I'm not stupid. I just made stupid decisions. I'm not bad. I just made bad decisions. I'm not weak. I just made weak decisions. There are a lot of things you think about you. It's not really you. It's your decisions.
When you acknowledge God in all your ways, He will direct your path. But too often, we make our plans without consulting God. Then we ask Him to bless those plans. We wonder why it's a struggle, why it feels like it's always uphill. We have it backwards. We're making a move and then asking God for help. The right way is to ask God first.
Many people doubt themselves because when they thought about doing something at some critical point in their lives, somebody they respected and honored, somebody they believed in, somebody that they loved, someone they trusted said, "You can't do that."
Most of the people who really ain't got it, they go out of their way to try and show people that they have it. The more you go out of your way to show me that you have it, you're confirming to me that you really don't got it. Because it's perception versus reality. Because you pulling up to the club in the nicest car don't mean you actually got gas money.
As you begin to look at your emotional, your spiritual, and intellectual development, how many books did you read? How many classes did you take to begin to develop yourself professionally, to improve your craft or your skill? How many new things did you learn? Just take some personal inventory, just thinking. Beginning to know yourself. What are the things about your past that has influenced you right now?
You see, a dream, when you get it, will encourage you. There's something about a dream that brings encouragement and joy to people's lives. It gives you excitement. It encourages you. The people who are discouraged are the people who don't have a dream. Because when you have a dream, it makes you get up in the morning. It makes you put your clothes on and go to work because you've got a dream, and a dream has the power to encourage you.
You have not because you ask not. It didn't say you have not because your credit ain't straight. It simply say you have not because you ask not. But you don't ask because you ain't got that together. When you ask God for something, quit tripping. He got it from Him.
The same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change, the wind when it's upside down, the wind when it's favorable and unfavorable. The same wind blows on us all. The economic wind, the social wind. The same wind blows on everybody. The difference in where you arrive in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, the difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail.
Some people don't want to be for you, and that's okay. You don't need them to fulfill your destiny. You have to set your face. The people that need to be for you will be for you. God has already lined up the right people, people that will celebrate you, people that stick with you through thick and thin.
A lot of people never try anything differently because they have been convinced by people in their lives that they value that they can't do it. They're living within the context of the opinions that other people have of them, the low expectations.
You need to be patient with the process and not enthralled with the promise. You compromise the rehearsal time and bought the tuxedo for the recital. You want the accoutrements of success, and that's what's killing you. Now you look like something that you're not. Somebody say wrong focus.
Joy can only really come to my life when I am focused on what God is doing in this moment. And I cannot focus on what God is doing in this moment in my life if I'm consumed with what He's doing in somebody else's, or if I'm still in regret and bitterness about what happened 3 years ago or 3 months ago. A lot of our lack of joy is really not about possession, it's about position. What I mean is this: He set joy before Him. It's not a question of God's presence. It's about yours. Are you present in this moment?
You can't live off of yesterday's manna and expect to have victory today. Yesterday's information may not work today. Stay open for change. Be willing to try something new. What made you successful 5 years ago may not make you successful today. Have the attitude, God, I'm ready for new things. If you don't innovate, you will evaporate. You can't rely on what got you to where you are to keep you where you are. The world is changing. You can't afford to sit back on autopilot and just coast, do things the same way. You'll get left behind.
But if we're not conscious of dropping a thought or a behavior that's no longer needed, we take old thoughts, old behaviors that served an old version of ourselves into trying to become the new version of ourselves. So ask yourself that question. What do I need to drop that's no longer needed? Is it a person? Is it a thought? Is it a behavior? Or is it an emotion?
If someone is controlling you, it's not their fault, it's yours. You have to put your foot down, make a change. This is your hour. I know people that spend more time worried about what other people think about them than they do pursuing their own dreams and goals. And it's great to get free from addictions, but one of the greatest freedoms is to get free from people.
Being successful, y'all, is not a magic trick. You have to learn the principles of success. You can be successful at anything. You really can, man. I don't have no education. I'm telling you, God has an incredible life for you. All you got to do is ask him for it. Be willing to put in the work. But now this work part is hard. Success is hard. But let me ask you a question. Ain't not being successful hard too?
You cannot reach your destiny dragging people along, trying to keep everyone happy.
Life is like an elevator. The higher you go up, like those spaceships, they let certain stuff off because it's too heavy. Yet some people just too heavy when it comes to drama. When you have goals and dreams and you want to fine tune your life and approach to life, you want to create a drama-free zone.
What else is in you? Who are you ignoring? Is there a version of you you're ignoring? So think about that stuff and really begin to ask yourself, am I satisfied where I am? And start listening to that voice inside of you saying, hey, listen, it's whispering right now, but it's calling you. It's saying there's something more. There's something else. There's something else you can give.
Deciding to keep your word. If you just decide, I'm going to keep my word. If I say something, I'm going to do it regardless. Being more considerate, more disciplined, being more adventurous. Find something that you can look at your life that you say, hey, I know I've got a problem in this area, being late. I need to take care of that. Procrastinating, I need to deal with that.
For things to change, you have to change. I was hoping the government would change and taxes would change. I wished for everything to change. And my teacher said, no, Mr. Rohn, for things to change for you, you have to change. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And here's the big one. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. You simply need more skills.
Stop telling the old story. Here's the truth. Nobody cares. No one cares if you've had a setback. No one cares if you had a victory. And none of those failures, none of those setbacks, none of those victories, and that old character you keep playing is the very thing that will prevent you from becoming this new version of you.
Not taking care of business, being seriously not serious. Creating an imbalance in my life where I'm spending more time looking at television or having social fun and not spending enough time working on me. See, most people, ladies and gentlemen, spend more time working on their jobs than they spend working on themselves.
It's a story if you're stuck. It's an old story you're telling with an old character that was last year's version, last decade's version. Who's the new character? What's the new script? What's the new story?
Your personal philosophy is like a guidance system that helps you make decisions what to do, what not to do. From the information you get and what you learn and what you know, we decide. Maybe your philosophy would have been 5 years ago never to attend seminars like this. You just didn't go. Now 5 years later, here you are. Something happened along the way. So now that little amendment in your philosophy, you now say, I'm going to regularly go. Because it doesn't take but a few ideas to make a great difference in your income, personal life, social life, and all the rest. A change of mind, a change of idea. The more we learn, the more we know, the better we're able to make better decisions.
So what is the worst thing that can happen? I want you to visualize that, experience that, feel the nervousness and the discomfort. And the more you run it in your mind, the less power that it will have.
Your philosophical guidance system does two things. Number one, helps you to see the dangers on one side, so you can avoid those. But here's what else your guidance system does. Helps you to see the opportunities on the other side, so that you can expand those, maximize those. And here's what that's called. The game of life is to minimize the dangers and maximize the opportunities. And the more we know and the more we learn, the more experience we gather, helps us to keep continually adjusting our philosophical guidance system so that we minimize more dangers, maximize more opportunities. That's really the game of life.
Stop hanging out with people that make you look good by how little they know. And so you can condescend to them so that you can be a great fish in a small pond. Get around people who make you feel stupid because they stretch you. They make you grow. They make you read. They make you study. They stretch you. They expose you to great information. Then you can make great decisions.
No matter what's going on in your life, you can be happy and so blessed that people will envy you and envy your life. No matter what's going on in your life. Now that blessing is attached to a moral excellence or a virtue of soul called the poor in spirit, which really means the humble-minded, those who are totally dependent on God, and those who don't think that they're better than other people.
Have you ever had anybody turn on you? It's one thing to have an enemy. I don't have no problem with that, because if I know you're my enemy, I dress for you. I come in there prepared, because I already know you and me, we don't do each other. We don't do that, so okay. But the heart cracks when somebody who fought with you now fights against you.
The future is actually the place where there is threat. And it's always going to be there. So what do? You make sacrifices in the present so that the future is better. Everyone does that. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing here. It's amazing. You can bargain with reality. You can forestall gratification now. And it'll pay off at a place and time that doesn't even exist yet. Who would have believed that? It's like that's a miracle that occurs.
Learn number one from your own experiences, learn number two from other people's experiences. If you want to live a dynamic life, multiplying your income, multiplying your future, be a good student. If a good idea comes your way, write it down, then ponder it, then perhaps go do it. Your philosophy comes from what you learn, comes from what you know, comes from other people's experiences.
I want you to focus on what does it take when you look at your life. Very important to focus on the examples of other people and what it takes to live the kind of life that you desire. You want to make it in life? Perseverance is important, persistence is important, and you got to believe in you. And you got to trust God that things are going to work out.
You can do goal setting with a pencil, but you have to do goal getting with your legs. And it's the action that separates us. The greatest gap in this world is the gap between knowing and doing. Knowing is goal setting. Doing, now that's goal achieving. You got to take action.
This attitude is rarely found. Well, anyway, if you've been troubled by the old familiar human malady of running up too many roads and trying to run up more than one at a time, pick the one out of all of them which seems to offer the most promise, forget all the rest, and dig a deep, straight highway to your goal in life. You'll be amazed at how quickly it can be reached, and the time will pass anyway.
A lot of people think that what's possible in their lives is strictly determined by where they came from and what happened to them. No, you have no idea how far you can go, how far you can stretch, how far you can reach. So you got to take that thing and hold on to that and figure out, well, how can I apply this into my life? If I take this might be the day mentality that everything comes together for me. You don't know what's possible in your life. You have no idea how far you can reach, how far you can stretch. You have no idea.
The happiest people on earth are those who are emotionally involved in what they're doing. This calm, cool, collected bit is all right for cows, camels, and turtles, but it'll never produce a great sermon, symphony, business, piece of architecture, painting, marriage, or the miracle of a child. When you lose the excitement and heightened feeling of emotion in what you're doing, you'd best look around for something else.
Humans have an unreal capacity to get great at things, even if they don't have a natural talent for it, if they're immersed in it, and to learn something and acquire a ton of knowledge in a short period of time as well. Society is conspiring all the time in our culture to completely distract you so you never win. And they get these different things on television and our phones and in our lives to just get us distracted so we never get obsessed. We never get laser focused for an extended period of time.
People without vision perish, and they die in a life of mediocrity. They die with their dreams still in them. They die living a misplaced place life, making the cemetery rich and Miles Monroe angry.
So for me, my brain's saying, that's it, right there. Move as fast as a rocket, Mel. I wanted to change my life. And I think most people that are miserable or that are really like dying to be great, we want to change. We want to live a better life. We want to create more for our families. We want to be happier. The desire is there. It's about how do you go from knowledge to action.
If you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. Key phrase, if you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. It's amazing. In baseball, we call it batting average. If you talk to 10 people, one says yes. Now the ratio has begun. 1 out of 10. Here's something interesting about the law of averages. Once it starts, it tends to continue.
I talk a lot about your instincts and inner wisdom. When you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What it does is it opens up a checklist, and then your brain goes to work trying to remind you of that intention that you set. And it's really important to develop the skill of knowing how to hear that inner wisdom and that intention kicking in and leaning into it quickly.
If you're in a negative vibration, the only thing you can attract to you is something negative. How do you change? Well, one good way is consciously pick the people you associate with. Pick with people who are winning. Go mix with them. Do what they do.
If I could just literally come off the stage and I could get real close to you and we could have kind of like a one-on-one conversation. There are 2 questions that I would ask you, and the 2 questions I'm about to ask you will really determine how successful you're going to be in this business. Without any question. These are the 2 questions. It's not like there's 3 or there's 4 or there's 7. There's 2, okay? Just trust me on this. I'm an old man. I know this. I've been around the block a few times. And there are 2 questions that if you're going to answer in a positive way about yourself, you're going to be very successful. And if you really cannot answer that in a positive way, to be honest with you, you're not going to be near as successful as you would like to be. The first question is very simple. What are you doing to develop yourself? And if you'd say, my gosh, John, I'll tell you right now, I'm doing a lot to develop myself. I've got a personal growth plan and I'm intentional in this and I'm doing this on a daily deal. If you could say that to me, then I'd say, hey, we're in good shape here. We're in good shape because that's the key. You know, what are you doing to develop yourself? And by the way, the reason that's first is not because you want to be selfish. It's kind of like almost a selfish question. The person says, well, why do I start with myself? The reason you start with yourself is because you cannot give what you do not have. So you better start with yourself. Because if you're leading others and have nothing to give them, nothing to share with them, nothing to teach them, then I can promise you, you'll never be what you want to be as a leader. And I can promise you that after 40 years of personal growth, the secret of any success, if I've had any success at all, the secret of that success has been personal growth in my life. And growth has literally placed me where I am. So what are you doing to develop yourself? It's a huge question. And the 15 laws of the 15 laws of personal growth, basically these laws are all about developing yourself and developing the second question, what are you doing to develop others? You see, on the first question, you're foundational for your future. The second question is all about compounding, multiplication. That's where you build a huge business, when you know how to develop other people. Well, Paul Harvey said that you can tell you're on the road to success because it's uphill all the way. And I'm here to tell you, this something for nothing entitlement mindset that invades so many people's lives is a bunch of garbage. I can promise you, nothing that I've ever had worthwhile did I have just kind of fall into my lap like, oh my goodness, I won the lottery. And I know once in a while people win the lottery, but basically the people that win the lottery, half of them lose their money within 3 years, the money they won. And it's because they got money, but they never changed the way they thought. And can I tell you something? If you have all the assets in the world, but you don't change the way you think, you'll lose all the assets in the world. And what I have discovered in this whole process of trade-offs is that every step of the way of my journey, I have to trade something off. And and for you that are young, the good news is your trade-offs will never be easier than when you're young. Because I remember when Mark and I started out, I think, man, I gave up everything. I was a pastor to go in the ministry. I gave up everything, and then I started smiling. I thought, I'm sure I gave up everything. I didn't have anything to give up when I did.
Christy talked about affirmations. Abundant thinkers understand the power of I am. Anything after the word I am is true to your unconscious mind, Michael. Anything after I am. Anything after I am. Even if you know it's not true, your conscious mind will believe it. Anything after I am. So the use of affirmations is very intentional and very consistent. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed in 1998, I'm sorry. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed. It didn't make sense. I had been in a relationship. I was engaged to get married, and my fiance, who I did not know at the time, was bipolar. And he'd stopped taking his medicines and under the belief system that love can cure anything. And so I ended up being picked up and thrown 3 feet across the room. And I ended up being choked until I passed out. And once I got out of that relationship, I just was different. It was different. So my mom insisted that I go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and I sat on the table and she checked me and talked to me and came back in with a prescription. And she said, Lisa, you're clinically depressed. And I felt like I heard Charlie Brown's parents talking like, wah, 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 wah. Clinically depressed, at least that'll make sense in that same sentence. And she handed me a prescription, and I read the prescription and it had my name on it, and it said Prozac. And I said, do you mean I'm sad? She said, very, very sad. I said, can I try something? And I'm not recommending you guys, if you're on medication, you stop taking your meds, please don't do that. I asked my doctor, she agreed. I said, do you mind if I try something before I take this? She goes, yes, but I need to see you back in 30 days. If you're in the same condition, I need us to try this medicine. I said, okay, I can do that. So I went home, and every day I got in the mirror and I drilled I am every day, because I realized I had forgotten who I was. I just forgot. And it was okay to forget. I just forgot. So every day for 25 minutes, I just went over the I ams. Every day, I am. And then I paralleled that with I forgive you for. Then I paralleled that with I commit to you, Lisa. Every single day. I went back in 30 days and I'm talking to her and I'm on fire. She's just looking at me. And I'm just talking. She twisted her head again. And I'm just talking. She says, wait, I gotta stop you. I said, what? She goes, what are you taking? And can I have some? I was like, I'm taking some of me. And so the power of I am can pull you through the darkest moment, the power of I am.
There are 1,000 real reasons not to go, but the truth is that none of them matter. The truth is, if you want to build something in your life, then you have to remember what Mark Twain said. You have to get started, because at the end of the day, that is literally the only thing that's holding you back. You're not moving. And once you get the simplicity of that, once you understand that you could act right now, you could say fuck all the excuses. You could stop making them. You could stop giving into them. No matter how valid they are, no matter how real they may seem, you can finally decide that you're going to get up and move, that you're going to create that momentum, that you're going to take a step, that you're going to make the demand, that you create momentum, that you get something done, that you fucking find an answer, or as Hannibal said, that you're going to find a way or make one. If you have to carve through fucking rock, do it, because humans before you have done it. And that's the simple truth. That is the simple fucking truth. And everything else is bullshit. Everything else is the weak voice in your mind holding you back and making you a less version of yourself. So I ask you, why doesn't the bird fly wherever it wants to go? Because that's all it's known? Because that's what's safe? Because that's what's comfortable? Or because it's an animal? What do you want to be? If this isn't the life you want to live, do something about it. As Albert Einstein said, try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. This is something that I think about a lot. At the end of the day, success is incredibly motivating, and accomplishing your goals and your dreams is something that I wanted to do since I was a little kid. That's been a driving force in my life. But through all of that, the times that I've felt happiest, the times that I felt most secure, the times that my anxiety and my stress have been at zero are the times where I felt like I was being most true to myself, where I was trying to really become a person of substance. I wasn't looking for something extrinsic. I was focused inward and trying to develop the person that I'm becoming, that I had some code that I was living by, that I was really deciding not just what outwardly success looks like, but what does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to be an effective person? What does it mean to be worthy of trust? And those things, at the end of the day, those things are something that when you invest in finding value in that it takes you somewhere amazing. And as Bruce Lee said, knowledge will give you power, but character will give you respect. And at the end of the day, I really can't think of anything better than that. I can't think of anything that will keep me company when I'm alone, when there's nothing but silence around, when all I can hear are the sounds of my own thoughts. The only thing that is going to bring me or you comfort is respect, is self-love, is knowing who you are really and knowing that you're true to that even when nobody's looking. And that concept, that notion of having a guiding light, a principle, something by which you steer by, that you are always true to, and that in your moments of stress, chaos, confusion, of desire.
We've all had times where something didn't work out. We didn't get the promotion, the loan didn't go through, a relationship didn't make it. We did our best, we prayed, we believed, but the door didn't open.
When someone closes a door in your face, all you have to remember is when God allows them to close the door in your face, all God wants you to do is walk up the hall. It's some more doors. You just got to walk up the hall.
And the scripture says, God opens doors that no man can shut, and he shuts doors that no man can open. People can't keep you from your purpose.
Because I can promise you, he got a better door that he wants you to go through than the one that got shut in your face. That's a fact. But what happened to people is they stand there beating on the door. Please open it back up. Help me. My family. Stop. These people that close doors in your face, they ain't the only door. God is the creator of all doors, man. The door is closed for a reason.
When it's your time, God is going to open a door that will thrust you ahead. You're going to look back and say, what I thought was a closed door was really an opportunity for God to show out in my life. I thought it was setting me back, but really it was setting me up to go further than I thought possible.
I'm going to curse the door on you going back. The people who used to help you will not help you. The people who used to be there wouldn't be there. I'm going to shut the door on you going back to being who you were. And you're going to have to grow up and go forward because I have shut the door on going back. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I'm talking to somebody. When God really has interest in you, he will shut the door on going back. Oh, God, I got to stop and take a minute and forget about you. Because when I start thinking about shut doors, I have to praise him for all the doors that he shut in my life. Thank you for the friends that rejected me. Thank you for the people that said no. If I'd have stopped there, I would have missed my destiny. But every time you wanted to shut a door, it was because you had something better for me. If you understand what I'm saying, give God a praise right now.
Now, people may have closed the door, tried to keep you from promotion. Forces of darkness may have locked the door, tried to keep you from your healing, from your freedom. You need to get your fire back. Closed doors can't stop you. Every circumstance says it's too late. That door is locked. It's never going to open. You need to get ready. God is about to show out in your life. One touch of his favor, one contract, one healing, meeting one right person will catapult you to a new level. You may feel like you're behind a closed door in your health, in your career. You're working hard, but not getting ahead. Stay encouraged. Those closed doors are not permanent. People don't control your doors. Fear, addiction, depression don't control your doors. You're about to see some doors that have been closed for a long time suddenly open. Suddenly your health improves. Suddenly you meet the right person. What happened? The doorkeeper stepped in. Get ready for some open doors. Even when we let fear, insecurity, intimidation cause us to shrink back, God says, that's no problem for me. Depression can't stop what I have for you. Limited thinking can't hold me back. You may have locked the door, but it's the right time. God is going to come through the door. He's not going to let you miss your destiny. Like me, you may have locked some doors because of fear or because of mistakes you've made. Things haven't worked out. Now you've gone years with that door locked, thinking it could never happen. No, your time is coming. The fear may not totally go away, but you're going to feel a boldness rising up. That's the Most High God breathing in your direction. Those doors you locked didn't stop your destiny. God is not going to let fear hold you back. He's not going to let how you were raised, what you didn't get, to keep you from becoming who you were created to be. God sees potential in you. He sees seeds of greatness that you may not be able to see in yourself. Don't shrink back. You are well able. You thought you would always be single. You've already shut that door, convinced yourself you'll never meet anyone. God is going to come through the door and bring someone better than you've ever dreamed. You may think you're too old to accomplish your dream. Can I tell you, it's on the way. You think it's too late to start your business. It's on the way. Last time you tried, it didn't work out. It's on the way. You may be in a situation where you don't see a way out. In your health, your career, a relationship, it's because the door is not there yet. God is not finished. They're already on your plans. At the right time, suddenly things shift in your favor. Suddenly the opposition goes away. And when you don't see a way, instead of being discouraged, you need to remind yourself, no person can stop your destiny.
There were behaviors and thoughts you've had in the past that were needed to produce the results you currently have. But you need to stop what's no longer needed. Maybe you're continuing a thought or a worry that at one time was needed, but no longer is. It could be something to protect yourself from fear, to protect yourself from harm. But if we're not conscious of dropping a thought or a behavior that's no longer needed, we take old thoughts, old version of ourselves into trying to become the new version of ourselves. If you're stuck in a story. There's a story you're telling yourself that doesn't serve you anymore. But what you need to do is you need to alter your associations. You need to do something in a short window of time. You definitely need to evaluate what is no longer needed. There's all kinds of stories we tell ourselves that don't serve us anymore. Maybe it's a story about your past, a story about your parents, a story about a success you used to have. You keep talking about, if I can be real with you, whatever you've achieved up to this point, that story you keep talking about, every second you spend in that old story about what you've achieved, your degree, every time you live in that story, you're stripping time and focus from the new story. You can't have a new identity without a new story. What's the old story you keep repeating? Maybe it's not a success. Maybe it's a failure that you've had, a mistake you made. And you're repeating this story to yourself, simultaneously trying to create a new identity. One of the things we have to do to create a new identity is to begin to tell a new story. Who are you now? What are you all about now? Where are you going now? See, here's what's amazing. At any point in your life, you can just decide to write a new script. The leading character in the story of your life is you. And guess what? You and God control the script. Listen to me. At any time you want, you can simply decide to be a new character. Stop telling the old story. Here's the truth. Nobody cares. No one cares if you've had a setback. No one cares if you had a victory. And that old character you keep playing is the very thing that will prevent you from becoming this new version of you. Now, there's a lot of little mini things in life that matter. There's never one thing. If you said, what's the key? I can tell you, it's my addiction and my obsession to working on my identity. Just being aware of the concept, just awareness of the power of identity puts you in the 0.1% of all the people on the spinning earth right now. I don't like telling the old story. I'm constantly trying to write the new script, become the new character in my life. I'm constantly obsessed with writing the next chapter of my life, not reading the previous ones.